Well, I guess it's time to start. Welcome, everybody. Good afternoon to everybody. In this session, actually, it's the second session and the third day titled Arab event on open science. In the morning, there was an earlier session about open science concepts, policies, and recommendations. This session will be about platforms and initiatives. I'm honored to be between a group of distinguished speakers today and have the chance with all of you to listen and learn more about platforms, initiatives, and open science. First of all, I'm Raed Al-Zoudi. I am the library director at Jordan University of Science and Technology, which is named Centennial Library. And this will be, again, it will be my honor to be with you today. I will start with a brief presentation about academic libraries' role in the era of open science. I will start sharing my screen. Well, you can see my slides right now. If anybody can confirm it, please.
Yes.
Yes, we can.
Yes.
Yes, we can.
We'll talk briefly about academic libraries and the role in the open science era. As you all know, when we talk about libraries in general, we mean libraries as a collection of resources, either printed or electronics. We mean a library as a building or space where you have a lot of facilities and studying space and labs and other facilities as well. We may refer to libraries as a function. And this actually depends on the organization itself, what will be the function of the library, whether it's a research institution, either an educational institution or a cultural institution. And at last, there is the library as a service, as a supporting role in the context of the organization itself. Academic libraries, which are usually called specialized libraries, traditionally, their main role was to avail or maintain publications. Started with physical publications, and then comes the digital publications as well, and make them discoverable to patrons. But while technology is evolving and openness is evolving as well, academic libraries need to be more creative and innovative, since there is a dynamic needs for the academic excellence, either in teaching or learning and research. It will be good if the libraries, academic libraries, became the information gateway to the digital or the digital age. What about open science? There's a lot of definition of open science, but maybe I like this definition, and which defines the open science as a practice of science in such a way that others can collaborating and contribute, either when it comes to research data, lab notes, research process as well, enabling reuse, redistribution, reproduction of the research, underlying data and methods. Maybe with or without a planning, academic libraries already became involved in some aspects of the new environment. I mean the open science and open access environment. Libraries started to promoting open access practice. Also setting up publishing services. You can find academic library where they are setting publishing services. developing research data management policies, and running repositories as well. This is from Shimago Journal ranking, and as you can notice, the growth of open access. As you know, Shimago journals based on Scopus, prestigious journals, ranked journals. So as you know, you can notice the growth into the year 2000 among the total number of journals listed in Shimago. Only 7% were open access. In the year 2010, it became 10%, and in the year 2020, it became 21%. And it most likely the percentage will increase year by year. While talking about open science, actually we need to differentiate between open science and open access. Some do mix between the two terms, but for sure, open science doesn't mean open access. Actually, open access is only a part of open science, and you can notice how open science is a wide skeleton. Part of that open access, open data, open reproducible research, open science evaluation, open science policies, open science tools, and so many details. Again, the open science and academic libraries rule. The role of libraries on open science has been recognized actually with the a lot of discussions at multiple platforms, publicly by international organizations and stakeholders. They highlighted the role of libraries, academic libraries, research libraries, and recognized the role in the coming era. So what will be the role? The role will be as an enabler. Academic libraries will play or start to play the role of enablers to open science to support inclusive and innovative research community. So how libraries can be enablers? They can practice or help and support in preserving, connecting, and versioning of scholarly content of their institution, giving the support to the infrastructure. What we mean by infrastructure, that include repositories, discovery tools, aggregation tools, and other tools and infrastructure. Libraries can contribute to research data management policies and strategies. Libraries can play a significant role in advocacy and awareness on benefits of open science, in training and supporting researchers to open their research workflow. For sure, there is competencies and skills needed for libraries, and this is actually the challenge as a library director in academic institution. I know this is the main challenge. There is a competencies and skills where libraries, academic libraries in general, worldwide need to, these skills need to be addressed and get the proper and suitable support when it comes to capacity building, awareness, building infrastructures. Part of these skills, the ability to advise in preserving research output, knowledge in advanced data management and curation of research, knowledge and to support researchers in complying with the various mandates of funders, that mean including open access requirements. And during the first session of today, FAIR was addressed, and this is a challenge for researchers and for academic libraries as well. Libraries need to increase the knowledge and to advise on potential data manipulation tools knowledge in data mining, knowledge in to advocate and advise using the metadata, ability to advise in preservation of project records, knowledge of source research funding, assist researchers to identify potential funders, skills to develop metadata schema and advice on discipline subject standards and the practices for individual research projects as well. Who can support libraries? Actually, according to initiatives and projects running right now, and me as a library director collaborating with such entities that can support libraries. We can mention global organization such as Unesco's. There is the UNESCO Declaration on Open Access and Open Science, and they have a hand in giving support in policy development issues. Besides the UNESCO, there is the regional organization and the Arabian region. There is the Alexo as well, can support in this particular. Associations in our region, such as the Association of Arabic Universities, can help. And for sure, last but not least, research and regional research and educational networks, such as ASREN, who is hosting this valuable conference. Thank you so much for your time, and I will go back and stop sharing my screen. I stopped my sharing my screen, and please allow me to start introducing my distinguished and your distinguished guest today. First, we will have a presentation from Mr. Lautaro Julian Matas. Mr. Lautaro, who has a background in computer science, have a solid and wide experience since the year 2002 as a member of the Center of Studies on Science Development and Higher Education Center. He also was part of the technical team at the Ibero-American Network Science and Technology Indicators. He also worked in Argentine Center of Scientific and Technological Information, oversaw implementation coordination of the SciELO Argentina project, and currently he is the executive and technical director of La Refrencia in Spain. Mr. Lautaro will be talking about the La Refrencia Initiative and the project in Latin America as a network of open science and repositories. Mr. Lautaro, the floor is yours now, please.
Hi, Raid. Thank you very much for the presentation. Thank you very much for the organizers for inviting us to present our initiative and our collaboration. Can you see my presentation now?
Yes, yes.
Okay. So thank you very much. Today, as Raid said, I will be presenting the La Refrencia Latin American Network of Open Access Repositories, Open Science Repositories, sorry. We are a network, a regional network of repositories created in 2012 by the signing of agreement between Latin American government at first, mostly authorities in science, technology, and innovation, ministries, and responsibilities of each country. So by the signing of this cooperation agreement, we created La Refrencia. The mission was at the beginning to give visibility to the public-funded scientific production. At that time, we focused on open access, but with the growing of the open science in our region, we are also cooperating around the open science in general. So we created a federated network of institutional repositories, and now we are working also in data repositories. And it is based on different agreements between the countries around the open science policies. So in this context, we understand the scientific production not only as literature data, but also the metadata and data around the products and the processes of the scientific research. So we work together with the different countries. These are the countries that today integrates La Referencia. It's a growing network. Even Spain is part of the network. It's not Latin American, but we have a long tradition because of the culture and the language of collaboration, of this scientific collaboration with Spain. So Spain is also part as an external country of La Referencia. I must say that from the very beginning, we've been forced by Red Clara, which is our regional network, and Red Clara is part of La Referencia as an associate, but also Red Clara manage a part of the administrative and financial aspects of La Referencia also. So we have all these countries of the South American and Central American region, and as I said, it is a growing network. We develop a software platform that serves to this network. We have national nodes located in each of the countries, and then that national node harvests the metadata of the national repository systems and aggregates that at national level, and then we harvest all the countries and we aggregate contents from the entire region. We provide different aggregated services, mostly based on the software platform that we developed. So we collaborate also with the global initiatives such as OpenAIR, that is based in Europe, but the influence of OpenAIR is now global. So we also collaborate a lot with CORE, Confederation of Repositories. All our countries are members, institutions are members of CORE. We collaborate a lot with the different initiatives that develop software or policies around open science, science literacies, RDA, Synodo, and recently we started a good collaboration with ASREN, UbuntuNet, and WOCREN. That's part of the presentation today. I want to introduce the experience that we had we are having with the African NRA's MOU. We signed this agreement with these important initiatives in Africa, and we started a collaboration. The MOU is based on a base for a interregional collaboration between our initiatives. It provides a framework. It provides us a framework to start looking for opportunities and for interchanging different knowledge and experiences around the open science implementations and platforms. So we also work with in this context, we worked in this idea with Lipsense and CORE in order to reach this agreement. And it was very important for us this year because we started to experience with our software in other region, with other languages, with other alphabets even, because during this year we worked along with ASREN in a pilot experience on using La Refrencia software platform to harvest Arabic repositories. And the experience was based in knowledge sharing and practical experience of harvesting different repositories, dealing with the Arabic content that it was, as you know, is not common to have for us having Arabic contents in Latin American context, but the software resulted to be a good solution for that also, and we did an evaluation, a lot of common experience and sharing of knowledge. So it was a very successful experience, and we learned a lot of the repositories of the region. It was a limited experience, of course, because we just wanted to know how the software and the platform deals with the contents, but the experience was very, very powerful and promising for the future. So I want to give public acknowledge of the importance of the collaboration with the ASREN team in this topic. So at the next step of the collaboration, we are working with ASREN in order to expand the experience of the pilot and try to build a sustainable collaboration between our teams to expand this experience in the ASREN context, but also to the context of the other members of the MOU. So we had our annual meeting this week, and all the countries and the representatives are very happy with the result of this collaboration, and we are looking forward for increasing the collaborative work during the next year. So we are going to share and also replicate this experience. We are looking forward to replicate this experience with Walkeren and Ubuntu Next, and keep building and learning from the region also. So this was a very brief description of what we are doing in La Refrencia, and especially in the collaboration with this important initiative. So we are always open to work collaboration. We are you are all very, very welcome. We strongly believe that the strength of the acknowledge of and respect of the difference is the foundation for a good and promising international collaboration. So thank you very much for listening, and I am available for questions later.
Thank you so much, Lautaro. I guess we'll keep the questions at the end of all presentations, so everybody can ask. Our second and distinguished speaker today is Dr. Ognian Brajnat. Dr. Ognian is the Director of Current European Infrastructure and the Project at GRNet, which is the National Infrastructure for Research and Technology. It is an integrated electronic infrastructure service provider with the mission to support service for the academic, research, and education community of Greece, and link these with the global e-infrastructure. In his presentation today, Dr. Ognian will be talking about building a regional open science cloud. So the floor is yours right now, Dr. Ognian, please. Hello? You are muted, Dr. Ognian, please.
I am trying to share the screen, actually.
Yes.
Thank you for the introduction very much, Mr. Chairman. I will try to share the screen now again. Let me see. So I think you can see it.
Yes, it's loading. Yes,
is that correct?
Yes, clear.
Okay. So thank you very much for the introduction. I will give you a little bit more of a broader view of open science today. So going beyond open access to the publications and repositories that were also discussed in the previous talk, but embracing the whole wide range of services which are there to facilitate open science. So this presentation is about a regional initiative in wider region of Southeast Europe, but it's also embedded somewhat in the pan-European vision of European Open Science Cloud. So the vision of the European Open Science Cloud is to ensure that the European scientists reap the full benefits of data-driven science by offering 1.7 million European researchers and 70 million professionals in science and technology a virtual environment to share, free at the point of use, services regarding storage, management, analysis, reanalysis of research results, and then the publication of research results. So it is a wide collection of different services which facilitate open science. This is the vision of European Open Science Cloud, and for this, in this context, the key question is really how to engage different service providers to provide services for open science. So these could be generic service providers in terms of cloud computing or storage. These could be thematic providers, such as those providing specific thematic services in climate or biomedicine or cultural heritage, data visualization, and so on. Also how to engage repository providers, and we heard this in the previous talk, which was really very interesting because it was going beyond continental, let's say, limits. Then to engage the data providers to provide data, and to engage the scientists and researchers to actually use this data and use the services provided by the European Open Science Cloud. And also the second point of view of
excuse me, are you running the slideshow? Because I can see
I am running the slideshow. I am running the slideshow.
No, I can see the first slide. Only the first slide, the title. Not sure, you need to go in presentation mode.
I am running the slideshow, but yes, it is in the presentation mode, and I'm running the slideshow. So let me see now what's happening. Can you see something different now?
Yes. Question and solution.
Yeah, so this was the slide with the European Open Science Cloud. My apologies. And this was the slide with the challenges. Yeah, how to engage in this environment, different service providers and operators, and how to engage also the end users. Also, the second aspect of this challenge is how to ensure the geographical coverage of less developed regions as well into this widest possible European Open Science Cloud. So the Commission European Commission is co-funding 4 different projects that cover all the regions in Europe, which between themselves are very closely collaborating. So this map shows the coverage of these 4 projects, and in the light blue, you see the region of Southeast Europe, which is covered by NIFOS Europe project. So this project brings together 22 partners from 15 member countries and associated states, so it's quite a large region. It brings together these partners in the common creation of the regional Open Science Cloud, and then inclusion of this regional Open Science Cloud also in the pan-European integrations of EOSC. The ambition of this initiative is to commit to EOSC governance and to be a core contributor to EOSC service portfolio of different types of services which are necessary to facilitate open science and to ensure the inclusiveness on the European level. I have mentioned that the partnership is wide, and here is the list of organizations. The 3 main lines of action is first, to structure the open science activities in all 15 countries which are part of this endeavor. And this is very relevant also for the Arab region, in my opinion, to articulate these different voices of open science community in the countries, and to make them more coherent on the country level, and then to enable further integrations on the global level. So for our particular region that we're working in, we're trying to form 15 different Open Science Cloud initiatives in 15 different countries in Europe. The second line of action is that we want to provide the technical and policy support to onboard the actual concrete Open Science Cloud services to the whole landscape into EOSC, European Open Science Cloud. And the third line of action is to spread the EOSC and FAIR principles in the community and to train the community. So to engage the end user and researcher to understand the principles of open science and fair data. So just one by one, these 3 lines of actions, and somehow I will try to link to the relevance for the Arab region. So national open science cloud initiatives are envisaged as a grouping of different organizations on a national level that engage in common work in supporting open science from different aspects. We have developed first. The idea here is to run a landscape exercise to see what is the state of open science in the country. So we have done this in our 15 countries. We have produced this as an online map, all the data of all the stakeholders in open science. And this is something which I understand has been also run to some extent in the ASREN region, which is very important and relevant. And based on this data, we are then engaging these national actors to work together to build the national open science cloud initiatives. We have a blueprint how to build this national open science cloud initiative in each country, something that ASREN region and individual countries in the region can make the benefit of. And I can share the link to these documents whenever needed with our colleagues from the region. Apart from this, the blueprint, the blueprint shows that you can do it a top-down approach, that the government or the ministry, let's say Ministry of Education, can start such action, or there can be a bottom-up approach where the stakeholders in the country come together and they build the initiatives together. And there could be also a hybrid approach where both the government and the players are engaged at the same time. There's a detailed methodology that we defined, this blueprint, and I can share that with you, as I already mentioned, how to set up these national open science cloud initiatives to articulate the voice of open science community on the national level. So far in our project, we have set up in 2 countries the actual initiatives, and we have in 6 countries under preparation. By the end of the project, we will form the open science cloud initiatives in all the countries. And an idea of how many different stakeholders were engaged in this landscaping activities, 1,000, for 15 countries, so around 80 or so, 70 per country. The second line of action in order to support the open science for our project, but also relevant for any region, is to engage the providers of the services for open science, beyond the repositories, of course, including the repositories and open publications, but also beyond that, including other open science cloud services. So we have developed a methodology how to support a set of policies, how to support the onboarding or to publicize, let's say, or publish the services in the European Open Science Cloud. So there we have a methodology how to do this, set of guidelines, and we have also a set of tools which allow you to check your service whether it's ready and compliant to be included in such a global open science effort and be provided on a global level such a service. So we have a set of tools which deal with the authentication, authorization, monitoring of the service performance and accounting, and so on and so forth. As I said, there's a methodology how to onboard the service, and then this is just some examples of the services. So generic services could be things such as high-performance computing resources or cloud virtual machines or storage, data management services. Thematic services can be also onboarded. We have 8 fully functional thematic services onboarded, from climate to cultural heritage data set visualization through to different biomedical types of services. And we also have a number of repositories which are onboarded. This is just a small subset, and now we're going through a big wave of onboarding up to 40 different services into European Open Science Cloud, services which are available for regional researchers in Southeast Europe and also European Open Science Cloud researchers across Europe. And the third line of action that is very important to carry out on the national and regional level is to spread the generally open science cloud principles and FAIR principles in the region and in the countries. So what we are doing is, again, producing different type of supporting material that helps creating incentives for the providers and for the users to use open science services. Another very important thing is that we also developed a number of tools which ease different research data management aspects and facilitate open science cloud workflows. And then probably the most important thing is to have a network of people who can also communicate with the wider community. So having people who are open science cloud promoters in the countries. So this is very important. We found this very useful, and it's a clear recommendation that this could maybe be also done on the national level in the ASREN region, is to engage the specifically visible people who can then go out and promote open science philosophy in the community. So we have house promoters in all the countries, and we also have translation officers because there is a variety of languages in our region. We also have a set of training materials and a training platform which is open to everybody, actually beyond the region. We have carried a number of trainer events too. These are just some of the achievements of how many people have been reached. There's thousands of people reached by different training and dissemination events. A number of training material courses produced, and a number of training events held. What I wanted to point out is the wrap-up is that the regional action is very important, and this happens also on the this could also happen on the ASREN level as well in the region, in the Arab region, the Arab region. The national engagement is also important. So apart from this regional collaboration, the national engagement is also important to engage all the players and all the stakeholders on the national level, and thus be able to build a strong community nationally and regionally to prevent the brain drain from the region, to ease the digital divide between the region and the rest of the world, and so on. This is from our experiences in Southeast Europe, which we think that also applies for the ASREN region too. What are the perspectives for the ASREN region? So bringing together the open science cloud community in all the countries is important, and I understand that there are actions already towards that in the region. NRNs can act as a focal point, and then include different aspects of National Open Science Cloud philosophy in their operations, such as GRNet is doing, which is coordinating this NIFOS project as an NRN. It's very important to conduct a wide survey to capture the open science state in the region, and this, I believe, has already been done in the ASREN region. And then to go further, as you have identified open data sets and repositories that work towards FAIR and collaborated with Refrencia, which is very important. Well, you can also identify open cloud services which could be accessible on a national, regional, and international level, and include them in the wider global landscape of open science. And finally, very important to include training, dissemination, and promotion activities to engage the community. So thank you very much for your attention. I hope this was all visible. And
thank you, Dr. Ognian, for this valuable presentation, which highlights perspectives for the ASREN region and windows of collaboration with EOSC and other initiatives.
I have to tell you, please, since I have to leave at 3 o'clock, if there is any questions, I would appreciate it.
Yes.
Quick question now,
yes,
because I will not be able to participate in the open discussion.
Thank you. If there are any questions for Dr. Ognian, because he has to leave. I'm not sure if there are questions. My colleagues, if they can catch questions. If there are no questions at the time being, please allow me to welcome our next distinguished speaker, Professor Roberto Barbera. Professor Roberto was Associate Professor of Experimental Physics of Fundamental Interactions at the Department of Physics and Astronomy at the University of Catania. He has research activities in different fields. He also has more than 20 years of experience in coordinating of research groups and management of regional, national, EU-funded projects, creation infrastructure and multidisciplinary scientific research of various regions in the world. Professor Roberto will be talking today about the science reproducibility and reusability with FAIR compliant frameworks. Professor Roberto, the floor is yours now.
Thank you very much, Raed, and thank you to the organizers for the very kind invitation. So this afternoon, I'll try to introduce some concepts which have been already pointed out by the previous speakers, and then I'll focus on two main topics. First, open access repositories and open science, and the second, use cases of science reproducibility and reusability. And then I'll draw some conclusions. So when we talk about open science, there are several key enablers. On one side, open access and open data, and on the other side, DCIs, distributed computing infrastructures, and the data repositories. And I'll focus on these topics in my presentations. So one of the fundamental aspects of open science have been framed by the so-called FRAME principle. And I would like to address one of the first principle, which is the findability, and especially the possibility to assign globally unique identifiers, persistent identifiers to data and metadata. And for this, open access repositories are very important. In the recent years, we have been developing the INFN Open Access Repository, which will become soon the institutional repositories of the INFN, and this is based on Inbenio and Zenodo. Basically, we took the Inbenio and Zenodo code and we added functionalities, and we made it more easily installable. The idea is to have a single entry point for manual or automatic deposit of research outputs and all sorts of digital assets, images, drawings, videos, other multimedia. And we worked a lot to make the repository fully standard compliant and certified. And the repository has been certified by the Open Archive Initiative, by Open Door, and is one of the providers of OpenAIRE. What we did, we took Zenodo, as I said, we took Zenodo and we added specific functionalities. We containerized the repository and we added SAML-based authentication, and the repository is a service provider of several identity federations. And we made it fully parameterizable, the configuration fully parameterizable and easily customizable. And we made it fully compliant with FAIR principles because we adopted DOIs. Coming back to the first FAIR principle I wanted to address, we mint DOIs coming from DataCite, and the repository is also fully compliant with Plan S requirements. One of the key values of open science is, without any doubt, science reusability. In my own opinion, scholarly publication and data infrastructure should also comply with this rule, should also be reusable. And this is a concept that drove us to create an easily cloning installation of our repository. And in the last couple of years, we have been working with several organizations in Ethiopia and in Somalia, and we are discussing with ASREN the possibility to reuse this framework in several places in the region. Now I want to come to another aspect of fairness of research output, the possibility of data and metadata to be accessible and to be reusable. So to be retrievable using their identifiers, and to be richly described with a plurality of accurate and relevant attributes. So when people talk about reproducibility and reusability, everything seems to be quite easy, but in many cases this is not. When you look for a paper and you found a paper in a repository, what you would like to have as well are the data used to publish the paper, the software, and maybe additional information. But in many cases, unfortunately, the links to these resources are broken or are not existent. So you are puzzled, researchers are puzzled how to combine things together to reproduce or reuse research output. And even in cases where you have all the components, in many cases, you don't have access to big and performant distributed computing infrastructure. What you would like to have instead is a knowledge workflow. You would like to be able to search for some research topics, find the data, find the publication, and find everything linked to the publication, the data, the software, the entire infrastructure that can be used to reproduce or reuse the research output. You want to be able to run from inside the same infrastructure. You want to run additional simulation, additional analysis, write new papers, produce new data, assign DOIs to them, and publish them on the repositories to extend the chain of knowledge on a specific subject. So to create this knowledge workflow. So in the rest of my presentation, I want to provide you two use cases of this knowledge workflow using FAIR compliant frameworks. The first is about the COVID-19 statistical data analysis. The INFN produces statistical analysis of COVID-19 data since March 2020, but for both at the national level and worldwide level. Lots of different graphs, plots, and estimations of indexes to explore the extensions of infection and also to support decision makers in their decisions. So what do? Every day we download the data from the website where the statistics are produced. We assign DOIs. The data are stored on the open access repositories. We assign DOIs to each of them, and we version them. We exploit Zenodo functionalities to assign DOIs to the entire collection and to each of the versions. And what's very important, we can refer to data that has been used to produce the plots, the graphs, and the software which has been written that can be reused or reused to produce the graphs. And also the data and the software are linked to digital object identifiers. So all the three, the data, the software, and the summary plots are what I call research package. So a complete set of research outputs that refer to a specific study, and they can be used or reused by everybody to extend the studies and produce new results. We made a step forward in this path with another use case, which is the so-called reproducibility and reusability platform that has been built in collaboration with other colleagues from INFN and from Brunel University, London. So here, everything, not only the input, the output, the software, is a research package. Is inside the research package, but also the portal, the Science Gateway framework, the containers where you can run the applications are part of research package. And everything is indexed by a DOI, and all DOIs are referred to one another. So I don't have too much time to explain in details this use case, but I would like, in any case, provide you some information. So one element is the PALMS experiment. PALMS is an agent-based micro-simulation that predicts the lifelong-based physical activity behavior. So it is a simulation package based on a de facto standard in simulation analysis called the Repast. And there is a specific Docker image on Docker Hub for this software. And running a simulation requires two inputs, a model file and a parameters file. Another ingredient is the FutureGate framework, the evolution of a science gateway framework that we are developing at INFN Catania since many years. Here we have completely re-engineered the framework, which is now based on an API server, so completely decoupled, so the front end to the back end. The back end can be a different kind of DCIs, including workflow engines, including different computing infrastructure or desktops, and the target and also mobile apps. So using the frameworks, we built a web application, and the workflow is the following. Basically, the portal can allow users to select the inputs. The inputs are translated in the DOIs of the files on the repository. The DOIs are seeked, the data, the input data are produced. They are downloaded into a container. The container is instantiated on a distributed computing infrastructure. The experiment is executed and or also on a single container or a swarm of Dockers. And at the end, the outputs are tagged with the DOIs and they are uploaded to the open access repositories. And then the research outputs, the research package grows, including the new analysis, and you can connect the different research packages and you can connect the different analysis workflows. So let me summarize my presentation and leave you with some take-home messages. Fair principle compliant digital repositories, this has been said, and what to stress again, are key enablers of open science. And at INFN, we have been working hard to create a repository which is based on standards, which is based on very good examples like Invenio and Zenodo. And this repository has been useful for already in some countries in Africa, namely Ethiopia and Somalia. And our experience is, of course, at disposal of everybody interested in operating, installing, and running fair compliant repositories at their premises. But repositories are not enough by themselves, alone, to allow easy reproducibility and reusability of scientific results. Science gateways to distributed computing infrastructures with a very wide meaning, different computing infrastructure play important roles. And on this aspect, we have been working in the last years on the so-called Future Gateway framework that has been built exactly for this purpose, to hide the complexities of gathering fair research outputs, combined together, and reuse them, reanalyze them on distributed computing infrastructure. Last but not least, knowledge workflows require the creation and availability of what I call the research packages. So chains of DOI tagged research outputs. And we also need clear and reliable tools to search for these research packages and identify all the research outputs within. And I would say research outputs should be conceived. So in this effort to promote and share and spread open science, we should also try to convince people to organize the research outputs since their creation as research packages. So exploit persistent identifiers not as a single tag for a single research output, but for the entire chain of knowledge. But so we should go even more, and I leave the last slides I'm going to show in a moment, maybe for the discussion. So from the knowledge workflows, we should evolve to knowledge nexuses. So to be able to semantically browse linked data. So this is an example of something done by humans, but of course this should be done programmatically by computers. So each blob here, it could be a research package, and you can connect a research package among them. in an easy way, or even in a complex way, or even more in a more complex way using the capabilities of big computers. So I believe this is another story. This would imply a longer time, which I do not have for my presentation, but I would like to inject this into discussion, and I'm at your disposal to answer your questions. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Professor Roberto. I'm not sure if we have questions at the time being. Otherwise, we will switch to our next speaker. And of course, ASREN is here, and ASREN is available all the time. Our next speaker will be Yasmin Al-Kouz. She is the Senior Communication Officer at ASREN, and she will be highlighting the efforts on open science, ASREN efforts on open science. Please, Yasmin, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Mr. Raed. Can you hear me?
Yes, sure.
Okay. Can you see my screen?
Yes, yes.
Okay, great. Hello, everyone. Today in my presentation, I'm going to talk about ASREN efforts and activities to support open science in the region. In the first slide, as you can see, it sums up these efforts and activities, including the Lipsense Initiative, collaboration with DataCite, ORCID, La Refrencia, Unesco, the European Open Science Cloud, the Association of Arab Universities, and the Arab Science Cooperation to achieve UN SDGs. First, the Lipsense Initiative. This initiative was launched in 2016 to bring the research and education networks and academic library communities together to build sustainable and relevant approaches for open access and open science. WACRIN, which is the Western and Central African Research and Education Network, leads the Lipsense Initiative together in collaboration with the sister regional RENs, ASREN, and UbuntuNet Alliance and the Africa Connect project. Other participating partners include several national RENs, libraries, library associations, universities, and research communities in conjunction with the CORE, the Confederation of Open Access Repositories, IFL, University of Sheffield, National Institute of Informatics Japan, and the European GEONT Network and Open Air. To date, there have already been several outcomes of the Lipsense Initiative, including terms of reference for end-to-end library collaboration, metadata guidelines for repositories, plans for a regional repository hosting service, and national and institution policy templates. ASREN has been contributing to the Lipsense Initiative through conducting a series of workshops. The first ASREN Lipsense workshop took place in Tunisia on April 2019. The workshop in Tunisia was attended by representatives from the National Research and Education Networks and Libraries communities from 10 Arab countries. Several valuable shared priorities surfaced during the workshop. A federated discovery system for the region, increasing the value of Arabic content, shared content hosting platform, and advocacy training and communities of practice. The second workshop which addressed open science and open access in the Arab region was conducted in October 20 virtually. It was virtual due to COVID-19. And the third ASREN Lipsense workshop entitled Next Steps was conducted in December 2020. It discussed supporting open knowledge through an initiative for harvesting data repositories in the Arab region, with focus on Arabic content and language. ASREN has also worked in promoting the open access trends and practices through ASREN mailing lists with hundreds of librarians and scientific research communities' emails. And ASREN always contributes and builds on Lipsense working groups. And next, the collaboration with DataCite and ORCID. Lipsense working groups and ASREN identifiers through technical awareness sessions and trainings for regional research and education staff and for libraries and research communities. ASREN also hosted an ORCID workshop during its annual conference back in December 2020. Also, ASREN with the other Lipsense partners, WACREN and OpenInternet Alliance have continuous discussions with DataCite and ORCID. Each ASREN aims to be PID's provider and enabler for its region. And at last, recently, ORCID and ASREN have signed a memorandum of understanding to facilitate the adoption of ORCID IDs and use of ORCID registry amongst members of ASREN communities, which in turn should reap long-term benefit for researchers and research-related organizations in the Pan-Arab community. Next, the collaboration with La Refrencia towards Arab harvesting infrastructure. After several technical meetings and discussions, La Refrencia and the 3 African regional research and education networks, ASREN, WACREN, and OpenInternet Alliance signed a memorandum of understanding back in April 2021. This is to formalize their relationship as the 2 continents seek to ramp up their open science activities. The aim of the collaboration is to advance open science policies, services, and infrastructure that reflect the unique needs and conditions of each continent with a framework of international cooperation. ASREN is leading the technical evaluation of La Refrencia setup through a 4-month pilot project. And based on evaluation, ASREN started discussion with La Refrencia to adopt and contribute in La Refrencia setup internationalization. Next, the collaboration with UNESCO. ASREN has contributed to the UNESCO recommendation on open science, which was adopted by the General Conference of UNESCO in November 2021. The recommendation defines shared values and principles for open science and identify concrete measures in open access and open data. Entrants are mentioned explicitly in the recommendation to be among main stakeholders to provide the necessary infrastructure to support the adoption of open science. The document also states that entrants will have further responsibility as a main convener for several activities and provider for specific open science services, including computing, applications, and service platforms. Discussions are still ongoing with the UNESCO to support developing national roadmaps and ASREN to take the role of starting the Arab States Open Science Cloud, building on the pilot already in place under Africa Connect 3 project, and to organize policy development workshops. Lipsense also prepared a statement for UNESCO, which proposes a set of principles and actions for open science indigenous to Africa. Next, the collaboration with the European Open Science Cloud. In March 2021, ASREN became an observer member at the EOSC Association, and the ASREN team have started to participate actively in EOSC advisory group and task forces. We are counting on this collaboration with EOSC to initiate an Arabian Open Science Cloud setup in the future. And collaboration with the Association for Arab Universities. Recently, ASREN has signed a memorandum of understanding with the Association of Arab Universities. The Association of Arab Universities is working within the framework of the Arab League with the objective to support and connect universities in the Arab region and to enhance cooperation among them. This MOU came with an aim towards cooperation in scientific areas, especially in research and education infrastructure and services. The MOU included several pillars that mostly focuses on supporting the development of the Pan-Arab Dedicated Research and Education Network. This is to connect universities and research centers with other universities around the world through this network, sharing knowledge with the research and education communities in the region, especially on using the research and education infrastructure and services to enhance their research and education outcomes, and cooperation in open science and open access. And finally, in an effort to open a dialogue on cooperation in science between the Arab countries and the other regions, ASREN had contributed to 76 United Nations General Assembly Science Summit with a session on Arab science cooperation to achieve the UN SDGs in September 2021. The session had discussed science as a mean for development in the Arab region and how cooperation in science at national, regional, and global level will support the efforts towards achieving the UN SDGs, especially with focus on SDG 3, good health and well-being, SDG 13, climate action, SDG 14, life below water. The session also called for cooperation projects within the region with the regions around with focus on science, open access, and supporting science research and education communities. Thank you all. This is all for my presentation. Thank you for listening.
Thank you, Yasmin, for your presentation, which highlighted the ASREN efforts, and actually it's has a different efforts and different initiatives, with a lot of collaborations with different entities worldwide. Our next speaker will be Dr. Oer Zain. Dr. Oer Zain currently is the head of Saab Medical Library at the American University of Beirut. Dr. Oer, besides being a library director and besides being a PhD, the first PhD holder in cell and molecular biology from the AUB, American University of Beirut. She has several she has several memberships, and as a board member, for example, in the Arab World Association of Young Scientists. She also was chosen as the youngest woman scientist to participate in the plenary session about youth of science diplomacy in the World Science Forum. She also was nominated as a member of the organizing committees, different committees. For example, she is a representative of for Lebanon in the healthcare information for all, which is called Haifa, as a committee member for the FLAB, and so many academic and research partnerships. Dr. Oer today will be talking about libraries as a catalyst for open science platforms and initiatives, and the floor is yours now, Dr. Oer. Dr. Oer? Hello? I'm not sure if Dr. Oer has...
She's not in the room, actually.
I guess she has problems with connection. She was in the room. Well, till Dr. Oer is back to the session, I will switch to our next speaker, Mr. Abdullahi Behi Hussein, who is the CEO of Somali REN in Somalia. It is the Somali Research and Education Network, the National Research and Education Network for Somalia and Consortium United for the cause of improving education and research. Mr. Abdullahi has a BSc degree in computer science and a master degree in communication and networks. He is passionate about research, supporting research and education network science. Mr. Abdullahi will be talking about the leveraging or the power of community for open science. Mr. Abdullahi, please, the floor is yours now. Can you make sure your mic is unmuted? I can't hear you, please.
Can you hear me?
Yes, now, yes.
Now it's I'm trying to share my screen.
Please.
Do you see my slide?
Not yet. Trying to share. Yes, now it's showing. Please go ahead.
Okay. First of all, thank you very much for inviting me to speak at e-AGE21. I would like to talk about a topic that is very dear to my heart and that is very critical for the existence of Somali-Ren. Before I start my discussion on the topic, I would like to give some background on the reason I'm saying that. Somali-Ren was founded in 2009, and it was only in 2018, early 2018, that we had a network. So basically, when we talk about NRENs, what defines NRENs is the connectivity and infrastructure in place. But all this time, the only thing we had was the human network. And that's what we call the communities. That's why we feel that strengthening the sense of community within Somaliland is what kept it alive for all this time. I would like to talk specifically about the context of Somaliland and communities, and how communities can be leveraged to encourage the members and the institutions to engage in open science. I would also talk about the role of the community within the NREN architecture and the various perspectives of Rna community with respect to the community formation and all that. I would also like to talk about the characteristics of what I believe or think of an effective NREN community, some tips on organizing Rna communities, and then our experience with building communities and some final remarks. So open science is mostly about the modalities for producing and sharing and also consuming scientific work. And in these days where we had COVID-19 pandemic, it is even more critical to liberalize knowledge, scientific work and knowledge, so that it can serve humanity better. While there is a will from the research and education community to come into open science, the activities do not compare to the investments and efforts spent by the those who produce and do research on proprietary stuff, proprietary science. The power of community, if leveraged properly, can result in an improved quantity and quality of open science products to compete with the restricted knowledge sharing and production by private commercial entities. So when we talk about the role of community within the NREN, we believe that it is the foundation of the NREN's existence. The context with other NRENs might be a bit different, especially those that are not started by the community or grassroots efforts. Somaliland being a community, grassroots community effort founded by the universities and research institutions, community is the foundation of everything that we have been doing. We think of the network and the network infrastructure as just the links that bring the people together. but we also think of the events that bring the people together as the network itself. A good example is the e-AGE conference, where we bring the community from the Arab states and friends from around together once each year. Strengthening that sense of community allows us to focus more on promoting open science and open access, and as a result, liberalizing knowledge, as it is necessary for the betterment of the human condition. And then on top of it is the Rna content, and that's the result of the activities of the community. And on this side, the engagements produce the knowledge, so knowledge creation happens, and then again from there, within the community, the cycle of knowledge from knowledge creation to consumption, and then again starting new engagements. This cycle will continue and keep the community alive. So 3 perspectives. Number 1, we think of the community as the platform, and then the community as, because the community is just individuals that came together with their own interests in mind. The individuals are the producers and the consumers at the same time of the knowledge that's produced. The community, the third one is the community as an incubator for young scientists and thinkers, and that's where the actual knowledge creation and the sustainable maintenance of the community will happen. So when it comes to an effective Rne, I believe these couple of points are necessary for, in my opinion, for an effective Rne. Number 1, the availability of resources for connecting and keeping the community together. These are the digital platforms, the repositories, the video conferencing tools and platforms, etc. And then support within the community, that the community should be very committed to helping one another, and especially for the younger and more novice scientists and engineers and other members of the community who are also expected to keep the community alive and carry on when the more senior members retire. Another key characteristic is for an effective Rne community is less bureaucracy. If there are so many formalities, it's going to be less effective. A fourth characteristic is the co-investment in the activities, that each member in the community should invest in the activities, and that should translate to not only in financial terms, but also investing their time. And then the regular activities that bring the people together and create the engagements and the exchange of ideas that will eventually result in the knowledge creation. So organizing the Rne communities, when we organize communities for research and education purposes, we need to keep in mind that the community is all about engagement. It's just not a name or a group of people that are given a name and referred to as a community. The engagement is what makes the community what it is. Organizing the community into small groups, into tribes and clans, when the number goes beyond a certain number is advised. Otherwise, it becomes very difficult to manage and it becomes less effective. It's also very critical to have a shared vision and values. These are very important for the actual formation and then the continued existence of the community. Also, the community should be domain focused. Communities focusing on health or public health. Communities of practices focusing on, for example, on internet technologies, etc. And then it's also very important to document the knowledge production process itself and the products, and also publish them as open access resources. So when it comes to our experience with building communities and supporting them, first of all, the communities are a core pillar of our mission. We try to structure our mission like this. The three key components: the infrastructure, the community pillar, and then the content pillar. And then the way we've been thinking about this is when we build the infrastructures and connectivity and etc., the communities that will be using these infrastructures will produce, will engage in research and collaboration and engagements and produce content, basically research and education content, which again will be shared across the infrastructure and across the networks to inform and educate the community itself, which will again allow them to create more knowledge, and that cycle is what defines the mission of Somaliland. And this way of structuring our own mission has helped us get a clear picture of where we are headed and where we need to focus. And it's not getting old. We might be changing the way we approach each of the pillars and the scope, but still, it has been relevant since the last 10 years. So what we do is mostly, when it comes to the communities of practices, formation and support of communities, as a core pillar, it's a core pillar of Somaliland's mission. As I said in the beginning of my discussion, Somaliland put the cart before the horse, and a functional community was there before we even had any infrastructure. We formed some communities of practices. Some are more successful than others. And the interesting way we approached this issue was we started with the communities that we needed most at the time. So we started with the NOC, the local NOC, the Network Operators Group, where we brought together the network operators, the network engineers and networking professionals, internet technologists once each year, and then throughout the year to share knowledge, organize conferences, and learn from each other. And we started with this because at the time, Somaliland was working on building its own network connectivity and infrastructure, and that's what we needed most. We have a knowledge managers and librarians community, which is also active, a public health and practitioners group. And the way we engage with this is we support their activities, and also we help them with the formation and incubate them until they become independent with their own governance structure and everything else they need. So they are completely independent from Somaliland, but they exist under the umbrella of Somaliland. We also built some tools for collaboration and open access, most prominently SORAR. Thanks to Professor Roberto and his colleagues, we have, in the process of building SORAR, also acquired the skills and knowledge necessary to also transfer this knowledge to others who might actually benefit from it and need it. We've set up a video conferencing platform that is free for use for our members, and a long list of other services, most of them adapted from their giant service portfolio, but we only selected those that were very critical and needed by the community. These are some photos from the conferences. The one on the right is the latest one, and each year we bring together 250 to 300 networking professionals, engineers, and industry, people from the industry, and even operators to talk about internet technologies and how they affect us, and also train 100 engineers each year as part of this specific community's efforts. A final remark from me to close my brief engagement is about the traffic that goes through our pipes. This is also another issue that I always like to talk about because until now there is a lot of talk about Rna connectivity, but there is very little traffic that is categorized as an Rna traffic that passes through our network infrastructure. And a key solution that will also allow us to be different from the normal ISPs, the community internet service providers, is focusing on building more communities of practices that will actually use the infrastructure and e-infrastructures for R&E purposes. So maybe the power of community can change this situation, and we have communities, yes. We need to just purposefully pursue an agenda where communities that cross-cut the borders but focus on specific domains to be built, empowered, and supported to drive the open science and open access agenda forward. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Mr. Abdullahi, for this valuable presentation, which highlighted how the ASREN, taking the Somali Research and Education Network, can play a significant role in supporting open science. Back again to Dr. Ola Zain, head of Saab Medical Library at the American University of Beirut, Lebanon. I'm sorry you lost your connection last time. So Dr. Ola will be talking. She's the last but not least speaker today. She will be talking about libraries as catalysts for open science platforms and initiatives. Please, Dr. Ola, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Mr. Raed. I'm very sorry again for what happened. I don't know technically. I was moved out. So I hope I didn't cause any inconvenience. Thank you, Mr. Raed, for the introduction. And thank you. I believe you can see my screen?
Yes, yes.
Okay, great. So I hope
excuse me, if you can go to the presentation mode so you can play slides.
Yes.
Yes.
Is this better?
Yes,
now?
Thank you.
Yeah,
thank you.
Okay. Okay, thank you. So thank you again, Mr. Wright, and thank you, Mr. Torman, for the invitation to be among this panel of distinguished speakers. As Mr. Wright said, although I have a PhD in biology, and you might be a bit surprised why I'm in the library and being a faculty member, but I accepted the position of the Director of Medical Library at the American University of Beirut because I felt like I might make use of my position to be able to, I've always felt like I cannot stop my work in the lab, so I cannot be satisfied with what I do, experiments in lab. I want to communicate science, I want to disseminate information more openly, I want to contribute to achieving the SDGs. So this goes a lot with what open science also. So I feel like we intersect together. So I'm sure some of you might be aware of the 3 pillars that open science tries to do. So on one side, open science wants to increase scientific collaboration and sharing of information for the benefits not only of science, but also of society. Open science also wants to make knowledge available, accessible, and reusable for everyone. We also want, through open science, to open the process of scientific production and to contribute to the good citizenship beyond the traditional scientific community. So, who are the key actors to be able to enable open science? If you see this list, you see that we have researchers, government funding agencies, universities, publishers, business sectors, and all these. But a very important key actor for open science are libraries, repositories, and data centers. How can libraries contribute to open science? Mainly through being enablers, as Mr. Raed mentioned at the beginning. So they are fundamental enablers of open science, where they can provide local solutions and support diversity. So now I don't like to lecture a lot theoretically. So now let's go to the more action part. So how are EUB libraries working as catalysts for open science platforms and initiatives? To be able to work to an open science landscape as enablers in this field, we're trying to work on almost all of these that you see in front of you. So we're focusing on collaboration, on open access publishing, research data management, open data, policies, alternative metrics, copyright, advocacy, training, and everything else. So the first thing that I want to mention are the digitization initiatives that the EUB libraries are trying to do. So these initiatives are intended to preserve the national and the EUB cultural heritage, in addition to disseminating information and promoting knowledge, not only to the EUB community and researchers, but to the largest possible audience. You can see here a lot of books, manuscripts, photo collections, vertical files, and historic maps, which we are usually intending to digitize in our labs. So there are a lot of material which are really in danger of being lost in the future. They're very old, they're torn, they're unique, they're not present anywhere else than EUB. We are trying to protect and preserve them and digitize them. But not only that, but also to provide them for free for anyone openly. So one of these digitization initiatives, which is very applicable to our area, is the Arabic Collections Online Project, the ACO. This ACO is basically a publicly available digital library of public domain Arabic language content. So the ACO aims to digitize, preserve, and provide free open access to a wide variety of Arabic language books in different subjects. There are, as you can see, many contributors to the ACO project. In addition to EUB, there's the New York University and the one in Abu Dhabi, Columbia University, Cornell, Princeton, AUC, and others. All these universities are working together in having this ACO project freely and open access. Another digitization initiative, open science digitization initiative, is archiving the Al-Adab magazine. This project includes the digitization, Arabic text OCRing, indexing, adding descriptive metadata, and preserving the whole collection from 1953 up till 2012, in addition to adding a searchable interface so that anyone can be able to view it and search through it. Unfortunately, a few days ago, our partner in this project, in this open access project, Dr. Samih Idris, passed away. And because this magazine was first published by his father, Dr. Sahil Idris, in 1953. But we promise Dr. Idris that we will try our best to continue to work on that. A third interesting digitization open science initiative is the Palestinian Oral History Archive, the POHA. So this came to EUB as in 2011, 10 years ago, when Al-Jannah and Nakba archive, they approached the Issam Faris Institute at EUB, and they were proposing to archive and preserve the oral history collections and make them accessible to the public. We know how valuable this archive is, so we are working on digitizing, indexing, cataloging, preserving, and providing open access through a searchable digital platform of all this collection of testimonies. Unfortunately, due to the sake of time, I'm not able to show you every one of these collections. I'm putting the link. So if anyone is interested, you can definitely have the link and feel free to use it and even to share it. A more medical open access digitization initiative is the Lebanese medical journal, the المجلة الطبية اللبنانية. So this is the official, fully open access, published for free journal of the Scientific Committee of the Lebanese Order of Physicians. So I was approached by the Lebanese Order of Physicians if we can work on having the archive of the LMJ and of digitizing it, because unfortunately, even the Lebanese Order of Physicians, they don't have the whole archive of the LMJ back from 1948. Luckily at EUB, we have always stored, and I made sure to have all the valuable collection, and this project is still in process. So we are working on digitizing. When done, all these issues will be placed for free, open to anyone on EUB website and on the Lebanese Order of Physicians website. I would like also to mention two examples of open science initiatives in terms of exhibits, which are made available for everyone. One exhibit, which was about the emergence of Greater Lebanon, and this was based on a collection that was donated by Hikmat Qasir to the library. This exhibition took place both virtually and physically, and we're hopefully working on digitizing it soon to be open to everyone. Another very new and fresh exhibit, which we just launched last Friday, so it was like 5 days ago. This is the exhibit about stories of women from the archives. And we launched this on the occasion of the COVID centennial. So there are a lot of unique items that are displayed for the first time. We found a letter by famous May Ziadeh, like about 100 years ago, supporting EUB's co-education. It was sent by her, it was written by her. We found first EUB thesis on Muslim women status by an Indian student who was studying at EUB back in 1909, more than 100 years ago. In addition to other diaries, fashion show images, manuscripts, and others. We are also, this is still in display physically, and we are working to digitize it and open it to the public, hopefully soon. We cannot talk about open science without talking about research data management, because good research data management enables open science. So how are EUB libraries contributing to research data management? Because we think that this research data is very important, the library is trying to help in the entire life cycle of the data, from the moment we identify it to the moment we are processing it, analyzing, publishing, and archiving it. So we are helping in data acquisition, so we assist in identifying and acquiring data. We also help in instructional support by providing library sessions and workshops on topics like data organization, data ethics, data privacy, data visualization, and others. We are also helping in research data management guidance. How? By advising on how to manage data in order to ensure its reusability, which is at the core of open science, by helping on how to write a data management plan, because we know that these are sometimes being nowadays required by funding agencies. We also help on using the data management plan tool, which is an online application, to be able to create the data management plan using specific templates. We always provide data sessions. We have a specialized librarian who in data management who provides always library sessions on monthly basis, in addition to one-to-one whenever requested, like sessions on introduction to data management and sharing, to spread awareness, as we said, to advocate, to train researchers how they can write a data management plan. What about data privacy? Because they all care about that, organization, visualization, and so on. I would also like to mention the EUB ScholarWorks. This is our digital repository, which is a very important tool for collecting, preserving, and distributing our digital material. So this is also the link where we are also advocating and encouraging everyone to deposit his publications and their work to increase the visibility of your research output in EUB ScholarWorks. A part of this repository is, in fact, the EUB data bank. It's our institutional repository for research data specifically, and this complies with the funder's open access requirements. Why we believe it's good and what are the advantages of using this AUB data bank? It helps in preservation in terms of storage, backup, discoverability, metadata, also in visibility in terms of accessibility, citation, and others, and also on control. You can put an embargo, access restriction, and so on. So we have like two sections, one which is the AUB data generated by our research community, and the non-AUB data, which is data that is acquired from outside AUB. Some of the main collections that I would like to point out to are data sets. So we encourage a lot to deposit your research data, or you can even search using this AUB data bank for other research data that might be helpful for you. Or also, you can deposit research supporting materials. So these might be non-data project files, but they help in supporting reproducibility or enhancing understanding of project data and publications. So these should be placed open. Open access, which is only one of the main cornerstones and pillars of open science. So we always work on advocating and training on open access. What does it mean? Why it's important to publish? What have you learned? How to deal with open access material? How to make your material open access, and all this. So we always try our best to make open access a new norm in our scholarship and research. Just recently, we have participated in giving a lot of webinars in the Open Access Week, which is now entering. This is a global event that, as some of you might know, entering its 10th year. So it was a very good opportunity to increase advocacy and training for a lot of researchers. We also work on open access publishing, as I said, and this is just one example of a recent article that I have published as open access about COVID-19 along with other colleagues from AUB. Open educational resources. So when talking about open science, open data, open publishing, we cannot ignore the importance of educational resources. We are all in need of teaching, learning, and research material that should be available for the public domain with no cost access, use, adaptation, or distribution. This is very vital, especially with the dire need financial crisis that we're passing in Lebanon. So what we did at the library, we came up with an initiative called the Oer Task Force. And this is a very good example of open science where we gathered people from different departments, the library, faculty members, instructional designers, and we're all working together as a task force to be able to implement OERs in our teaching, in our research, and even in our policies. So what about open science and the COVID-19 pandemic? I think never before the pandemic, there was that much need for open science, for open information, for open data. Every one of us needs that. This has to do with the health of every one of us. So this is very serious. And that's why I wanted to share with you this article, which was published by Lipsense et al. In BMC Medical Research Methodology. The title itself tells you how important open science is in the pandemic. So it says, open science saves lives, lessons from the COVID-19 pandemic. I invite you also for the sake of time to go and read it by yourself. It's really very enlightening on what role open science can play, especially in such a pandemic, and what we can also learn to have open science part of our lives to be able to deal better with future pandemics. So what I've done personally as I can say small initiatives of open science. So back in February 2020, and when the first case of COVID-19 was reported in Lebanon, I felt like I can make use of my position and information to to help people. So what I did, I joined a workshop, Train the Trainers, which was done with the help of WHO, several ministries, UNICEF, organizations, and others. And we started giving awareness sessions just in layman language for ordinary people, for the public, in a lot of universities, schools, villages, to be able to reach everyone, almost everyone in the community. Even when there were lockdowns and everything, we moved online. We did an online campaign, which is still active, so that we are able to account for people's needs in such dire situations. So we answer them, reliable information, credible ones, and they feel like there's someone to support them. So it's not only scientists who own the information about COVID-19, but everyone in the public can do that. So also back in March 2020, and with the tsunami of information that was published about the pandemic, personally, I felt confused, like what to trust, what to advise, what to do, and what not to do. So I started working on my making use of my research, PhD biology, and my researching skills and everything. I started working on my free, user-friendly, one-stop shop website about COVID-19. I intended and I wanted intentionally to have it available for anyone. So anyone, whether you are a healthcare professional or a health consumer, just regular, or even people who have some difficulties, there are sign language videos. So I hope, also for the sake of time, we don't have time to go into the details, but it's, I consider it like my baby. I've worked on it for the past 22 months. Please feel free to use the link. I can put it in the chat. You can find a lot of sections, even about mental health, vaccine, OERs, tips to work from home. It's only credible, reliable information to be able to help those who do not have the luxury of having access to information. So I hope you find it helpful. And I'm glad to say, like, after 22 months, I have around 15,000 views, which this keeps me motivated to update it daily. So I try my best to update it daily with new information. As you can see, it's a very good example about an open science initiative, because if you look at the list of countries that access the guide, it ranges happily from everywhere. Several countries in Europe, in US, UK, India, Japan, Russia, China, Philippines, Mexico, Indonesia, Pakistan, Africa, some countries in the region, not that as much as outside. So happily, the same applies for organizations and sites. So these are just some of them, which are international ones that have made use of this, as they called it, free one-stop shop of reliable information. So, as I said, we can always make use of our positions to help in this open science culture, and also at least through advocacy and through real work. So, I was also during the COVID pandemic proudly chosen as the first country representative for Lebanon at an organization called HIFA, Healthcare Information for All. I invite every one of you to join HIFA and to support it and to encourage others to join it. This, we have like more than 20,000 members who work with the WHO. And from the name, you can tell that we are open. It's healthcare information for all. So we believe that healthcare information is a right for everyone, no matter where he is, no matter of who he is. And we believe that together we can stop people dying due to the lack of healthcare information. I'm also lucky to become a member of a special interest group in IFLA, the International Federation of Library Associations and Institutions, which is specifically the evidence for global and disaster health. We work in this group to support SDG 3, which is in itself ensuring healthy lives for everyone at all ages. So this is also another good example, I believe, and I hope, about working openly to help everyone. I wouldn't get also into much details about my work with INCSA, where we try to, I was selected as the rapporteur for Lebanon, and I work with so many other countries where we try to see whether science evidence is being used by governments to tell behind the policies that they come up with. I'm also glad to continue my work in another open organization, which is Arab World Association of Young Scientists. I'm a board member, and this institution, we have more than 18,000 young scientists. We accept almost everyone as long as you are working to help each other, to influence cooperation between each other, everyone from his own background to be able to support the SDGs. So I'd like to end, I'm not sure if I took more than my allocated time, I'm sorry, just with very key few messages. Please, we can all advocate and engage within institutions to develop policies, with researchers to highlight the benefits of open science, with other stakeholders, whether at an institutional or international level. We can advocate and engage with other units and bodies, it can be me and you, where we can unite and create strong networks. We should promote and engage even with citizens. We should include them to have an open culture and change the mindset. We should all work to develop an enabling policy environment, because we need policies at the end to be able to enable open science. We should not forget investing in infrastructures for open science and human resources, because we need skills to be able to work on open science pillars. We should try to shift our funds from paywall content to more supporting models that provide full and immediate access, such as open access publishing. We should make open science a sustainable global reality. Hopefully, next time we meet, we are more confident to say that. We should simply be open in everything we do, and we should all try to get the message and information to everyone, regardless of gender, ethnicity, disabilities, language, and religion. So this is the end of my presentation, but the beginning of an open call to action. Thank you so much. And I know you're all tired and fed up with listening, but thank you so much for bearing with me all this time. Back over to you, Mr. Raed.
Thank you so much, Dr. Ola, for this rich and very useful presentation, where you highlighted so many topics, how libraries can play roles in supporting open science and open access. I'm not sure if there are questions in the QA tab or in the chat tab. There is a kind of complain about access, I guess, from Mr. Abid Khoudi. I guess he might be able to contact you, Dr. Ola, and see why access is not allowed or blocked, and solve the problem. If there are no questions from our respected audience, I would like, on behalf of all of you, to thank all our speakers today. We have actually very rich and very useful presentation, starting from Mr. Lautaro, who highlighted the Refrencia project and initiative, and how research and regional research and education networks like the Arab play a significant role in initiating such projects. And he also highlighted the collaboration potential between Refrencia and ASREN and other sister partners like WACRN and OpenToNet. We also have a very useful presentation from Dr. Ognian, where he highlighted so many aspects and when it comes to open science collaboration at the regional and national level, and there are for sure perspectives for the ASREN region to articulate and adopt in the ASREN region as well. Also, Professor Roberto highlighted use cases from the INFN, and these use cases highlighted the importance of adopting FAIR, about adopting gateways for the DCI, and for sure adopting percent identifiers, and for reproducibility and reusability of research and science. Mr. Abdullahi, for sure, had an interesting presentation about ASREN rules in supporting e-infrastructure and content and communities. And he also highlighted the collaboration at regional and continental level. And Dr. Ola, for sure, has just finished her presentation and had many aspects for libraries that can play in the open science and open access, starting from digitalization, exhibitions, research data management policies, scholar works, open access education resources, and other initiatives. And for sure, we didn't forget Yasmin's presentation, where she highlighted all ASREN efforts between stakeholders and partners worldwide, and how collaboration and cooperation has already started with the different aspects, starting from Refrencia, Unesco, Association of Arabic Universities, Unesco as well, and other entities. I think we don't have questions, so please allow me again to thank you and to give the floor back to Mr. Yusuf Turman, the Managing Director of ASREN, and thank him for his and the team for this tremendous efforts for organizing and running such useful and valuable sessions during the conference days. The floor is yours, Mr. Yusuf.
Thank you very much, Raed, and thank you all the speakers for this session and the previous sessions. Actually, it was indeed very good and so on. Now we are trying to do some kind of quick closing. What I would like also to invite, there are participants who are in the our colleagues will allow you to operate and run your camera and so on. So please bring them to the room, to the live room, to be included in the last discussion session of today. So please get them in, all of them. Whoever likes to join, please get him to the live room. Now allow me to just send short messages as a closing remarks to all of you. To start with, we are proud and thankful at the same time. Proud with what we have achieved. We are proud with. We are thankful for those who have contributed and supported us for the last year and for the coming years and so on. We are proud that we had an excellent event, though it was virtual. We had 55 speakers from 44 countries, which is a record actually, for 3 days with 6 sessions. We had a high-level participation, including ministers, national, regional, and global leaders and decision makers from all over the world almost. From our side, we try to present our achievements and what I can see, results of our work from the last year. We have been presenting in all sessions, the sessions that are related to science, the session related to open science, and so on. So we have been in infrastructure, also services. We have presented that. So I hope that we did a good job for the community, and we could present it in a good way that to show our achievements. We also, what we have tried to do also to present our strategy and focus for the coming years, especially that we are giving special focus and special attention to science in general. But it comes at what we want to encourage science cooperation, because science no one can do science alone. So science cooperation is our message and our priority now as a strategic dimension. Science cooperation, and the main reason for that, it's the tool or the means to achieve most of the United Nations SDGs. So if we talk about the United Nations SDGs, if you go through them 1 to 17, NRENs can be part of all these pillars or SDGs through enabling science cooperation, research cooperation, education, and so on. So therefore, our focus on science cooperation. The other kind of our focus is science communities, because we know science comes from communities, and we want to bring to address all science communities to see how we can serve them and how we can enable collaboration among them through the service that we provide. And what we are now doing, especially in starting our harvesting infrastructure. Our cloud infrastructure now is in a good shape, so we say that we can provide the cloud services from now, and we invite our communities to use it. We can say that also we are now, we can provide also services on cloud, like EduGain Federation as a service, IDP as a service, and soon EduRoam as a service, and further and more. So that I will not elongate or repeat what we have been doing in that all has been presented, but we are proud of that. Let me also highlight that we have been present in almost in various activities around the world, especially the Science Summit, and we will be demonstrating and presenting and featuring in the coming year in various activities, mainly the Science Summit at the 77th United Nations General Assembly in September 2022, and we will arrange that and hope all of you can join us, and we will keep you in touch on that. We are also will be part of the Arab, African, European ministerial high-level meeting in February in Brussels. We are also proud that Egypt will be hosting the the climate summit, COP27. So we will be definitely take a main part of this summit, in addition to the Global Internet Governance Forum, Arab Internet Governance Forum, and more. Further to this, we are trying this next year to arrange with ISQA and League of Arab States to have like what you can call mega event that includes as e-AGE. It can include also the Arab Digital Forum 2022, the Arab WISIS 2022, Arab IGF 2022, and more. This will bring more cross-fertilization between the various communities and the stakeholders, to also that we will also be present there. Actually, we will be next week presenting at the Arab IGF, Arab Internet Governance Forum. We will have a session on science cooperation to achieve United Nations SDGs. You are invited to attend also. To bring to your kind attention, videos have been streamed through our Facebook account, so you can see them and review them, and we will also do some kind of publishing them also on our YouTube channel. For the presentation, most of the presentation now is on the event website, but for those who are not ready yet, we will make them available and we will get you informed, all of you. Further to that, also we are compiling a report, one of them for the strategic plan and the other one for just a summary of what has been presented. It will also be shared with you. Before concluding, let me thank, I think I need to thank everyone, mainly the speakers who have brought the real value to the conference, the content, the quality. We are proud that we have speakers from all all over the world and all over the communities. Let me also thank the program committee, who has maybe you don't know what they have been doing, but they have been an excellent job. Jonathan Chapman among the program committee. Thank you, Jonathan. Also, we want to thank the sponsors, Internet Society and RIPE NCC mainly, but all other partners, Africa Connect 3, Human Connect 3, European Commission, Talal Ghazali Global Organization. And let me be selfish to thank ASREN's team. Very little team, but doing a great job. And allow me to invite them to thank you all. Let me thank first Yasmin Al-Kuz. She's our senior communication officer. Yasmin.
Hello, everyone. Just want to say it's always an honor to organize and be part of this amazing event. Here is to e-AGE22 and a more normal gathering, hopefully. Thank you.
Thank you, Yasmin. Let me invite Erico Porto. Erico?
Okay, can you hear me?
Yes, I'll see you.
Okay, good. I just want to thank everybody, especially the support team from ASREN, for the very good job that you put together in so short notes to have this successful conference and events that we presented. I'm very proud that everything that we achieved and also everything that we constructed on these 2 years, despite of the fact that we face very incredible difficulties with the pandemic and all. So I'm just hoping that next year we will be able to get much closer and be able to produce a lot more, given the receding of this terrible pandemic. And most of all, thank you very much for participating, to engage, and to help us to continue to articulate and produce this very powerful results that we have been seeing so far. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Erico. Thank you really very much for your support and for your presenting us on the services and network part. Let me invite our senior network engineer, Hadia Yassin Arafat. Hadia?
Okay, can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes. I want to thank you all for taking time out of your busy schedule to be with us at our conference. It was great to see everyone and meet some new folks. I hope that you enjoyed and get benefits from all sessions. We appreciate everyone who attended and asked questions to learn more. And I want to thank my colleagues for their efforts to present this fabulous conference. Thank you.
I'm proud of you all. Let me invite Sarah Halahle. She's our systems engineer.
Hello, everyone. It's my pleasure to meet you here in e-AGE21. First, I would like to thank our Managing Director, Mr. Yusuf Turman, for his support. Also, thanks to my colleagues in ASREN, Yasmin, Hadia, Erico, Sami, and Raed. And I would like to thank the distinguished speakers for their great presentations. And thanks to the attendees. I hope you enjoyed the sessions. Nice to meet you here, and thanks.
Thank you, Sarah. There is one who is counting money now. He's our financial specialist, and he's doing or our financials. You don't meet him usually except in the conferences, but he has been supporting us and working with us. He is Sami Al-Rashidi. If you can speak some words.
Thank you, Mr. Yusuf, and thank you for all. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, Sam. He's back to count the money again. So Let me also, I would like to invite Jonathan, if you like to speak some words on behalf of the program committee, because you have been active partner in the program committee and also representing our Internet 2 partner. Jonathan.
Thank you, Yusuf. Thanks very much to all of your team for the excellent conference that you've just completed. And for the program committee, it's always our pleasure to engage with you and help you try and bring together a interesting program, which I think you've done. And from my colleagues at Internet 2, congratulations. And we look forward to hopefully seeing you live sometime in the near future.
Thank you very much, Jonathan. I think I have a friend who has attended all the sessions. I see him in all the sessions. Though we have been meeting ourselves face to face last week in Poland at -5 degrees temperature. Mark, I would like to hear from you. What did you see from our conference, and what do you suggest?
Well,
Mark,
yes, I don't know if you hear me, but thank you very much, dear Yusuf. Actually, it was a really big pleasure meeting you last week. We had really nice chats, I think, and there's a lot that we still have to work on. I think there's a lot of scope for collaboration, and I could see that even Latin America was well represented in the event. Among others, my colleague and friend Lautaro here present here, and so I'm honored actually to have been invited, and I think there are really interesting initiatives that we have to promote further and in our communities. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you very much. Thank you very much, Mark. I will leave the floor for anyone who likes to speak or add any comment before we close. Okay, this year was virtual. We pray that next year will be good for everyone and we meet on face-to-face in a good place all together, and everybody will be in good health and so on. Maybe if we keep your camera on, and maybe my colleague will try to have capture a screenshot for all of you. And smile. I know you are all smiling. You are already smiling, so maybe you need not to encourage you to smile. And I think that's all from our end. We are proud of everything with your and thankful for your support and so on. Let's pray for a good year for everyone, and hope next year will be free of COVID and free of closures and so on, and hopefully meet face to face next year. Thank you all. Have a good time.
Bye-bye, everybody.
Goodbye. Goodbye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Goodbye.
Bye-bye. Thank you.